Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
Pick your time to attend the Marysville Peach Festival. It's happening Friday, July 14th and Saturday, July 15th in downtown Marysville. You'll find your old favorites like Sidaro's Cobbler and Pies, peaches and cream, fresh peaches locally grown, and other fruit to take home and eat. Fun for kids and big kids. A City of Marysville event kept moving by Recology, Waste Zero, and by Yuba County. Say yes to Yuba. The 23rd Marysville Peach Festival happening Friday, July 14th and Saturday, July 15th in downtown Marysville. A City of Marysville event.
For our student discipline, we had all of these were approved unanimously. The expulsions, EH 22-2396, EH 22-2397, EH 22-2398. They were all approved unanimously. Under suspended expulsion contracts, EH 22-2395, EH 22-2399, and EH 22-23-100. Those expulsion contracts were approved per the staff direction unanimously. Reinstatements, EH 17-18104, EH 22-23, 21-2206, 21-22-12, EH 22-20, I can't even read these, 22-22-32, EH 22-23-04, EH 22-23-10, and EH 22-23-41. Per staff recommendation, all of these were approved unanimously by the board. Finally, in closed session, the board authorized unanimously that a final notice of termination to be sent to one classified employee, number 9638, who waived the hearing regarding the recommended dismissal. Now we have comments from the board. Mr. Steeman. Dr. Yang? No. Allison Hasty.
I hope everyone has a restful July and an invigorating comeback for or rest of June and into July, and ready for the new school year when we get started. And Mr. President, I will need to probably leave early this evening due to a family situation.
Thank you. Doug Criddle.
No comments.
Frank Crawford. Gary Criddle. Well, I just hope that everyone has a chance to take a breath over the summer. I know for a lot of our teachers, they are working summer school. We have bus drivers. We have maintenance. We have a lot of people who do not get a vacation over the summer. But we really appreciate all the staff, the teachers, our paras, the whole litany of staff that help keep this district moving forward. And just hope that what little you might get out of a little bit of a vacation, we hope you come back refreshed when we start our new year in August. So now we are at opportunity for employee organizations to address the board. Marysville Unified Teachers Association. Angela?
Good evening, Mr. Davis, the rest of the board, superintendent, all of those behind me. It's a packed house for those of you that can't see it online. Trust me. But also everybody who's watching online. I'm Angela Stiegel, president for the Marysville Unified Teachers Association. And mainly for my comments this evening, I kind of want to echo some of what Mr. Davis was just talking about. We do have a lot of folks that are working on summer school, but even besides that or outside of that, I think that we all need to be cognizant of, and we need to make everybody in our community cognizant of the fact that there is an awful lot of work that goes on during the summer. I don't think anybody that's involved in education really has the quote-unquote summer off. Not our teachers that are doing summer school, none of our other teachers, clear from transportation, like you said, to our paras, to everybody here in the district office. There's really no summer off when you're involved in education. So a big thank you to all of the folks that are still continuing on and powering through and doing the work. Would also echo the comments about hopefully all of those people, my unit members and everybody else, do have some time to kind of relax a little bit, rest, reflect, take a little bit of time off before we know it. It'll be early August and we'll all be back on campuses full time. So hopefully July we get a little rest, a little respite. And maybe we won't be boiling the entire month of July. I was just looking at a weather forecast that had me mildly terrified. Boy, PG&E is going to be making a lot on this next week or two. But I wanted to spend most of my comments also on the LMI. We did recently, just last week, a group of us, I believe there were 12 of us all total, attend the Labor Management Initiative Summer Institute for the second time. And I believe that we are making some renewed efforts trying to reboot our LMI, which I think would be extraordinarily helpful to everybody. We did have representatives from our 2 CSEA units, which was extremely helpful. We had a representative from the board, Mr. Davis was there. And then we did have folks from the district office, including the superintendent, and Jennifer Pasalia and Gabe Simon were there as well. So we had quite the group. Yuta was there also. And like I said, it was nice to see Gustavo again and the folks from the CDE Foundation that were helping us through with that. I think the sessions were extremely enlightening and beneficial, and we did have some team time to work. And I believe between that and our meal time, that was a lot of team time as well. We ate well in San Diego. But I think that we are making every effort to try to move forward. It does not mean that, one conference means that everything is perfect and all issues are resolved and, check, everybody's wonderful and happy. But it does mean that we're trying to make some progress forward. I think, keep the rest of my comments. The rest of my comments have to do with the LCAP, and so I think in order to kind of keep those with the LCAP, because I'm not sure exactly how much time is going to elapse between now and then, so I'll reserve the rest of mine, and I did submit a comment card so that hopefully don't get forgotten in the midst of that. But hope all of you as well on the board get to have some time with your families and get a little time to yourselves as well this summer. And thank you, Mr. Davis, and enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thank you very much. Now we have a presentation on the Cedar Lane Early Literacy Support Block Grant. for report for the 2022-23 school year. Amy?
I'm just here to support. Rebecca should be joining us remotely. She's at a conference with her staff, but we'll see if she's able to log in or not, and I could field anything I need to field on her behalf. Yes. Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. Yes.
I need to turn my video on or not, if it's just voice that you need.
Just the voice is fine.
Okay. Hi, thank you, everyone. Yes, we're down here in beautiful San Diego. We're eating well, too. We're down here for restorative practices. Have had a wonderful 2 days down here, so thanks so much for allowing us to come down here. And I have my pleasure to provide for you an opportunity to have a quick synopsis of our ELSB annual report and a little bit of our data this year, which is some exciting data at the end of the report. So Russell, whenever you're ready to play, go for it.
President Davis, members of the board, Superintendent Azrani, and members of the public. I am Rebecca Evers, principal at Cedar Lane Elementary, and it is my pleasure to present our Early Literacy Support Block, or ELSB grant, annual report for the 22-23 school year. The California State Department of Education identified Cedar Lane as one of 75 schools with the highest percentage of third grade students achieving far below grade level on the 2018 and 2019 state ELA summative assessment. During the 2021 school year, Cedar Lane developed a literacy team composed of TK through third grade teachers and administrators to write and submit the ELSB grant application. The ELSB Literacy Action Plan was approved and resulted in Cedar Lane being awarded a little over $613,000 to be utilized over a 3-year period, with year one commencing with the 2021-22 school year. The ultimate goal of the ELSB grant is to see improved student learning outcomes through the development and implementation of research-based literacy instruction and support programs in TK through 3. The Cedar Lane School Site Council authorized funding to extend the ELSB Literacy Action Plan components to include grades 4 through 6, creating a school-wide focus on improving literacy instruction for all students. The Literacy Action Plan has 3 goals. Goal 1 focuses on phonics instruction. Strategies implemented to achieve this goal include professional development to improve reading instruction. 19 teachers, 2 administrators, and 2 literacy coaches attended the online Elementary Reading Academy facilitated by CORE, the Consortium on Reading Excellence, in the 21-22 school year. This year-long course is based on the science of reading and learning the 5 critical components of reading instruction in order to teach all students, including English learners and those with word reading difficulties such as dyslexia, to be strong readers. Additional strategies include on-site instructional coaching through CORE, purchasing and implementing WonderWorks, Dibbles, and Hegarty supplemental intervention curriculum, and developing a MTSS schedule that provides each student with 30 minutes of targeted reading intervention daily. This work was completed during the 21-22 school year and continued through the 22-23 school year. Goal 2 identifies a need for explicit vocabulary instruction to increase knowledge and rigor. Strategies implemented to achieve this goal include ongoing professional development to improve reading instruction. In addition to 19 teachers completing the Reading Academy last year, 9 teachers enrolled in the course this year. 6 of the 9 were teachers who requested to take the course a second time. We increased our core coaching sessions from 12 to 16 days annually, provided professional development with the Wonders Instructional Routine Handbook to develop consistent best instructional practices, continued with WonderWorks supplemental curriculum, and implemented Hegarty phonics instruction in K-3. Goal 3 identifies the need for a reliable and common assessment tool. Dibbles, the Dynamic Indicators of Basic Early Literacy Skills, was purchased and implemented last year and continued for the 22-23 school year. Dibbles is a research-based set of procedures and measures for assessing the acquisition of literacy skills consistent with many of the Common Core state standards in reading, especially for those foundational skills. The Dibbles score is a composite measure of letter names, phonemic awareness, letter sounds, decoding, word reading, reading accuracy, fluency and comprehension, and vocabulary. Cedar Lane grade level collaboration, PLC, and RTI meetings are held throughout the year to facilitate data analysis and progress monitoring to ensure the interventions implemented are effective. Cedar Lane has implemented DIBELS for the last 2 school years. We assess our students 3 times annually. Beginning of the year, middle of the year, and end of the year data was collected and reviewed. Our goal was set for 25% of students achieving below standard at the beginning of the year to achieve at or above standard by the end of the school year. Kindergarten has an outstanding 42% of their students reach standard, first with 24% and second with 14%. That is a 42%, 24%, and 14% increase in the number of students who reached at or above grade level standards. When we analyze the last 2 years' data, most grade level students are making tremendous progress. We recognize that progress has been inconsistent, and the team feels that staffing may have had a negative impact this school year. Paraeducators are often covering classes, negatively impacting targeted reading intervention groups, and grades 3, 5, and 6 had mid-year teacher changes and or more than one long-term sub in their classroom this school year. To support literacy training and education for parents, Cedar Lane hosted PK, Parents Institute for Quality Education, facilitated in Spanish this spring, and honored 11 parent and family graduates in May of 2023. One formal literacy night was held, an assembly was held honoring our young authors and illustrators, and our book fair family night was very successful. Recommendations for adjustments to the ELSB literacy plan for the 23-24 school year include a laser focus on implementing instructional routines and practices with intention and fidelity, employing a site-based literacy coach, and increasing our core coaching days to maintain that laser focus. Dedicate our monthly PLC meetings to reflect and revise our instructional routines, purchase K-3 class sets of Wonders decodable readers, and seek alternative solutions for subs to prioritize keeping paraeducators in targeted reading intervention groups. So what does this all tell us? It tells us that we are on the right track and our hard work is getting results. We need to continue to identify what is working and duplicate those efforts across all grade levels with intention and fidelity. Our teachers are becoming reading specialists. They understand the science of reading instruction. We are getting better at diagnosing the problem when students are having difficulty reading, and we're getting much better at providing precise instruction and intervention to improve reading results for our students. I would like to take this opportunity to extend a special thanks to our Cedar Lane academic team members who are members that initiated this grant, were a part of writing the academic plan, the literacy plan, and implementing and monitoring the implementation of this plan here at Cedar Lane. Thank you. If you have any questions, you may contact me at Cedar Lane Elementary.
Thank you very
Hi.
much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Davis. I'm available for a few questions if anybody has any. I don't know if you can hear, it's a little breezy here. I'm not sure if it's coming through the microphone or not, but I'd be happy to answer any questions for the board or anyone else.
Are there any questions from the board? Very nice presentation. You guys are doing a great job there. Keep up the hard work. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You guys have a wonderful evening.
Good night.
Good night.
Now we move to updates by department, business services.
Good evening. Thank you. I just want to do a big shout out and thank you to our transportation and food services for continuing to support our students this summer, and also our buildings and grounds department. They have a lot of projects and upgrades and going on along our facilities throughout the district. So I just want to give them a big thank you for working hard during the summer. We appreciate it.
I hope they can keep cool. Thank you, Jennifer. Education services, is anybody going to cover for Jay? Jay's out of town. Personnel services, Dr. Simon.
Thank you. Good evening. We also enjoyed attending the Labor Management Initiative training in San Diego. Lots of good relationship building and good honest conversations about how we work together to solve district-wide issues and address district-wide initiatives together. Our teacher residency grant program is in effect, and our students started class last night. So I talked to a couple of them before class. They were very excited to start. The grant allows us to provide compensation for them to pay for their teaching program with the hopes that they'll join us as teachers the following year. And so one of the questions was, when's the check coming? So we cleared that up, and that was good. And we got them on track and make sure they're in good standing with the program. We're hiring like crazy, thanks to Ashley Vetty and soon Kathleen Hansen, who are supporting us with some of those efforts in our office. And I'll be bringing to you relative short order some developments regarding new teacher support for years 1 through 5 that we'll be bringing before the board at the next meeting.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Dr. Simon? Technology?
I have a whole lot. It's been mentioned a few times that summer school is going on. We have 2 days left of summer school. We have 3 days left of intersession. And my understanding is we have 4 days left of special ed extended school year. And so those teachers have done an amazing job. Hundreds of kids, especially at the elementary levels, hundreds of kids at both Cedar Lane and Edgewater have been showing up to summer school, and they've been doing a fantastic job. And so I just want to give them a shout out and congratulate them on getting through this portion of the year as well. And I know they're all looking forward to their July. So,
thank you. Any questions for Brian?
Thank you. I also would like to start off by giving a shout out to the 12-member team that attended the Labor Management Institute in San Diego. As we all know, we have a lot of work to do in our relationships, and as a superintendent of the school district, I think it is a commitment that we make that our people have to be happy, and we have to do whatever we can to make sure our people are listened to. And it was quite obvious that in the last couple of sessions that there's a lot of work to be done, and we take that very seriously. I want to thank our teachers as well as our CSEA members from 3 to 6 and 648 for being with us, and thank you, Mr. Davis, for your time with us, as well as my team that was there. Also want to give a big thank you to our summer school staff. It's a repeat of what our people are saying here, but we've really been discussing that, as Angela said, there's very few of us that really take off for the summer. We work through it because this is a time we get to plan, we get to do professional development, and we have teachers, administrators, support staff, paraprofessionals, nutritional workers, custodial staff, transportation staff that are just working through summer, either getting the schools ready or getting summer school service served. So it is big thank you. Our students are getting a big shout out to Lori Guy and her team for the ELOP program, which is Extended Learning Opportunities Program. Currently, there are about 1,000 students in the summer school, TK through 12, and ELOP is serving about 400 students in this Extended Learning Opportunities. Also, transportation is being provided, so numbers are going up. Students who usually cannot come to summer school are getting the opportunity to do that. And again, shout out to food services for providing breakfast and lunch for students in summer school, and then snack and supper for students in the after-school program. So there's universal feeding, and all students are being fed over summer. A large number of our teachers and paraprofessionals are attending workshops over summer. We just came out from LMI, we barely got back. Right there was an AVID team, and there was another team with counselors attending the counselor trainings in UC. So we do have a dedicated staff that does everything possible to serve our children, and we are so very proud of the work that continues to happen. A big cheer for the College and Career Department, and I think you may have heard or read that now our district has been able to make some great partnerships with community businesses, and we have the first internship program instituted this summer. We have 2 students working with the law offices of Brian Davis, who's, I believe, the assistant district attorney. And then we also have 2 students in 93Q with Mr. Fischetti doing their internship in the broadcast studio. So it's absolutely wonderful to see that our students and our community are working together and our community is opening up the doors to allow our children to be interns and prepare for the college and career to come to fruition. I also have to give a shout out to our college and career department for getting $650,000 approximately for the middle college grant and the dual enrollment college grants for each of the high schools. And so I end with saying that this is the last board meeting of the school year. And as a commitment we've all made, we need to listen more, we need to listen deeply, and work closely with our staff to make sure that we are responsive and make sure our parents and our community know that it is our children that drive our work, and so we keep our eyes firmly on our children at all times. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Asrani. Are there any questions from the board? Now we move to the 12.1 approval of the 6/13/2023 regular board meeting minutes. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? If not, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Frank Crawford. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Steeman. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0. Now we have 12.2, approval of the consent agenda items. It is. We're at the consent agenda. Are there any items in that consent agenda area that we need to have further discussion? If not, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Frank Crawford. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Hasty. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0. Now we're at the new business. First is 18.1, public notice and review for the adoption of an AP biology textbook for the 2023-24 school year. Amy?
Good evening. So I'm asking to open a public review notice on an AP textbook to update the biology textbook to the newest edition. So it's just a public notice.
So are there any questions for Amy for this textbook? It's on display?
It will be on display, yes.
Okay.
And I do want to apologize. The approval for the last two textbooks that should have been done tonight was missed on the agenda. So we will do those two books along with this book, the final approval in July.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Amy? Thank you. So now we have the approve and adopt board policy 5145.12, search and seizure. Zach?
So this is the board policy we brought last. Again, search and seizure is one we just updated. The only real change that we had from the one we adopted back in April is the change to include cell phones. We didn't have cell phone language specifically in that board policy, so that was the only major change in the search and seizure policy.
Are there any questions for Zach? If not, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Doug Criddle. Is there a second? Second by Allison Hasty. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0. Now we're at 18.3, approve and adopt board policy 5145.11, questioning and apprehension by law enforcement. Zach?
So this was an optional policy that we didn't have to have before. So it's a new policy that we're adding in. Just clarifies a lot of the same procedures we have. A lot of it is dictated by current law in terms of how police interact with students, particularly on our campus, and when they're allowed to speak with students, and certainly not alone. It changes some of the pieces that have been there prior, but laws have changed over the last couple of years to kind of limit that interaction with law enforcement and students, particularly when they're on our campus and under our care.
Are there any questions for Zach? If not, do I hear a motion? Motion approved by Ms. Hasty. Is there a second? Second by Dr. Yang. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0. Now we're at 18.4, approve and adopt board policy 5144.1, suspension and expulsion due process. Zach?
So this was some updates mid-year in January. There were some updates returning, particularly around foster youth, homeless youth, and students who are part of Native American tribes, that making sure that if they're ever up for an expulsion or suspension, that they have representatives there. So for like a foster youth, we would make sure that their social workers invited and also their lawyers invited to those procedures. It's just making sure that they have those same due process rights that they would have if they had a parent that had full custody. So we updated some of the language to kind of go along with the changes in the law as of January 1st.
So is there much change from the current?
It's really just us informing. So when we send like a suspension notice or expulsion notice, we're making sure that we also send it to the lawyer and the social worker for a foster youth individual. Most of the time we don't hear back from those individuals. That's kind of the only problem we have, is really saying, are you really coming to the meeting? Do I need to make sure I have a room big enough? Because they can get kind of big if you start having 3 or 4 people show up for one. But we have had a couple of times where social workers have joined, and that's been really helpful, because sometimes we'll have part of the plan that they need certain supports that social workers can be able to supply. So it has been helpful in those circumstances.
Any questions for Zach? If not, do I hear a motion? Motion approved by Gary Quiddle. Is there a second? Second. Second by Doug Quiddle. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0. Now we're at 18.5, approve and adopt board policy 5144, discipline.
This was another optional policy that we currently did not have. So this was adopting a discipline policy. It really talks a lot about some of the alternatives we can use for discipline. That's some of its main focuses, in making sure that we kind of outline what are all the options available in terms of student discipline, including, meeting with parents, having conflict resolution, restorative practices, things like that are all incorporated as options available for other means of correction beyond just suspensions.
Are there any questions for Zach? If not, do I hear a motion? Motion approved by Doug Quiddle. Is there a second? Second. Second by Allison Hasty. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0. Now we're at 18.6, approve and adopt board policy 5131.8, mobile communication devices.
So again, this was an optional policy that we had not adopted prior. This is built on a lot of what we currently use in terms of practices at all of our sites around cell phones in particular. But it just gives uniformity so that all sites know that there's board approval of these different procedures around how do we deal with cell phones in the classroom, how do we deal with cell phones on campus, what rights do people have in terms of those cell phones. So it outlines that. Again, it's just stuff we've already been doing, but now it's uniform and across the board.
So is there any policy currently in our host of policies?
We have some stuff that's in our parent handbook in terms of that piece, but it wasn't backed up directly by board policy. So again, it's not a big change in procedure. It just is more of saying we actually have a policy now that's written under this. And if we ever wanted to change it, now there's a place for us to change it, not just changing it in the parent handbook. So that's really where we're seeing kind of a big change. But it was something that came out of our discipline committee that we went with teachers saying that it would be nice to have this uniformity. And it makes it nice when an administrator is saying, I need to take this cell phone, or the kid can't have it, having the backing of it's in board policy. This is not just me as the principal saying it, it is what the board has approved for us to do. So when we brought it to management, they were excited to see it. They thought it would be helpful in terms of any of those confrontations around cell phones that can occur.
Are there any other questions for Zach? If not, do I hear a motion?
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Frank
Crawford.
Old Frank Crawford.
This didn't mean to wake you, boss.
I'm just, is there a second? Second by Allison Hasty. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Now we're at 18.7, approve and adopt the 2023-24 Local Control and Accountability Plan, LCAP, and the LCFF budget overview for parents, annual update for the Marysville Charter Academy for the Arts, second read for the Marysville Charter Academy for the Arts.
Good evening. I'm here on behalf of Marysville Charter Academy for the Arts, requesting your approval of the Local Control Accountability Plan that I presented to you on June 13th.
Are there any questions for Mr. Lohman? If not, do I hear a motion?
A motion approved.
Motion approved by Frank Crawford. Is there a second? Second by Allison Hasty. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you, sir. Passes 7-0.
Thank you very much.
Now we're at 18.8, approve and adopt the 2023-24 Local Control and Accountability Plan, LCAP, and the LCFF budget overview for parents' annual update for MJUSD, second read for the Marysville Joint Unified School District. Amy?
Yes, I'm here tonight to ask you to approve the 23-24 LCAP as presented at the last board meeting.
We have a public comment from Angela Stiegel.
I bet you're all shocked. So Angela Stiegel, president for Marysville Unified Teachers Association. A couple of things. Some of these are suggestions for like lessons learned, so that in the future we can make improvements, because that's kind of what life is all about, is we try to learn from issues, experiences, that kind of thing, to improve. And so one of the things that I will say that for next year and years moving forward, and it's something that predates this board, this superintendent, this leadership, but it's something that has continued to just be an issue, and this year seems to have worsened. But as far as the input from stakeholders, and in particular for me, the labor organizations, it is seriously lacking. If you really do some homework on LCAP, you will discover that what we are putting in as far as engaging our educational partners, there's some stretching of things going on there that I just really think that we need to fix. I know from hearing from other labor groups that other labor groups did not have their input session on the LCAP, and that needs to be happening. And just because we say that we attend ELAC or DLAC meetings does not mean that those are LCAP stakeholder meetings. And so those are the sorts of things that I just think that we need to clean up. There's mention also of an extensive survey in which we received 800 community responses. I'm not sure if the comment is that the survey was extensive or the response was, because I think we can all say that 800 responses in a community of 18,000 people where you've got 10,000 students and 1,000 employees may not be all that extensive. And so I do know that Amy and Jay both came to the MUTA office and met with MUTA leadership for a couple of hours. There have been some substantial changes to the LCAP since we saw it that we did not know until the last board meeting when we saw it. And so those are just the types of things that if you're going to get people's input, you have to kind of keep them up to speed and keep them in the loop, because otherwise input can change, and it can change significantly, especially when you're talking about dollars and cents and for programs that directly impact and affect not only your staff, but also your students, the people that work with them. And so more than anything, I believe that's kind of my comment for this evening. I will, and I know Amy will say yes, she always says yes, but I'm also gonna see if Amy and I can get together, get Jay together with us as well. And like I said, try to clean some of these things up for the future so that maybe we can all see a little closer eye to eye on the LCAP at least. Thank you.
Thank you. Amy, do you have any comments?
Well, my comments are that I did reach out to all labor groups in the district, and I did speak to the ones who responded that they requested input. And I also just wanted to remind Angela kindly that I did write up all the notes from our meetings, and I also did a running dialogue of the responses, and I kind of thought that we did adjustments based off of the requests or the suggestions from MUTA. So I'm actually very curious to have a conversation.
So since I feel like I was addressed, otherwise I would not come up here, I promise. So I do have the notes, and I can see where some of the things correlate and some of the other things don't, and so that's why I was making the comment. But also sometimes too, you can reach out to people once about having an input session, and if they don't respond, I just think for me, one of the things is to just set up the session at that point. Like, for instance, and I can't speak for another group, but let's see, who do we want to pick on? The unrepresented. We'll go with them since they're not represented. If the unrepresented don't respond to Amy, my just suggestion would be that you just set up an input meeting and say, since we haven't heard back, here's the time and date that we've set for you to come have it, and you put it out there, because I mean, that's how we improve things. That's the only way I know how to do it, is if people don't respond, you at least put something out there for them. Like the MUTA session, the general MUTA session, there were some issues and conflicts over, and so we want to make sure we don't repeat that next year and those sorts of things, so.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Amy from the board? If not, do I hear a motion? Motion approved by Allison Hasty. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Frank Crawford. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0. Now we're at 18.9. Present the local performance and indicator self-reflection that support Marysville Joint Unified School District in measuring and reporting progress within the priority area for the 2022-23 school year.
Along with the adoption of the LCAP, at the same night the LCAP is adopted, we have to inform the board of our self-reflection tool, and here is your little 5-minute video.
Thank you.
Good evening, trustees, Superintendent Asrani, members of the cabinet, members of the audience. I am Amy Stratton, Director of Curriculum, Assessment, and Accountability. This is an informational presentation on the 23 LCAP Local Performance Indicator Self-Reflection. The State Board of Education requires districts to complete a self-reflection on local indicators that measure our progress within appropriate priority areas. These results will be reported to the California Department of Education in the fall and will appear on the California School Dashboard. Now let's look at the priority areas. Priority Area 1 of the Local Control Funding Formula, or LCFF, reports on the basics: teacher misassignments, vacant positions, curriculum, and facilities. The definition of misassignment means the placement of a certificated employee in a teaching or service position for which the employee does not hold a legally recognized certificate or credential, or the placement of a certificated employee in a teaching or service position that the employee is not otherwise authorized by statute to hold. Based on this definition, MJUSC has 0 teachers teaching without an EL credential, 0 teachers misassigned, and 6 positions unfilled during the 22-23 school year. All of the students have curriculum, and the condition of the school facilities are still to be determined. Each year, our schools go through an inspection using the Facilities Inspection Tool, or FIT report, which evaluates the conditions of schools based on a specific criteria. Currently, our Facilities and Maintenance Department are in the progress of correcting the known conditions at school sites. At this time, 26% of our schools are meeting the FAIR conditions. In the fall, when the item is reported on the California School Dashboard, we expect to have all of our schools meeting the good repair status. Priority Area 2 focuses on academic standards. In this area, we evaluate the progress in providing PD on academic standards, progress in instructional materials aligned to the standards, progress in implementing policies or programs identified for improvement on instructional materials aligned to academic standards, progress in implementing academic standards adopted by the State Education Board, and success at engaging teachers and administrators during the prior school year. In most of these areas, MJUSC is considered to be at the initial implementation phase. Priority 3 focuses on parent and family engagement. This indicator evaluated MJUSD's progress in building relationships between school staff and families, building partnerships for student outcomes, and seeking input on decision-making. MJUSD is considered to be in the initial implementation phase. Priority 6 focuses on school climate. The California Healthy Kids Survey was not administered during the 21-22 school year. Therefore, we relied upon internal measures to evaluate school climate. We surveyed high school seniors and asked them if they thought schools were clean and safe. 26% disagreed, 36% were neutral, and 38% agreed. When asked teachers about the social and emotional needs of their students, they reported students need support and social awareness and conflict management. When we asked parents their biggest concern, they reported school safety. Based on the responses collected from various sources, MJUSD has made an investment in our school facilities. We are installing fencing, adding more security cameras, ensuring all schools have front door buzzers, updating school sport facilities, adding new classrooms, and completing many more facility upgrades, including tracks and gymnasium improvements. In addition, we are addressing the physical safety. We are continuing to support efforts for PBIS implementation in our schools. We are addressing the wellness of students. A director of wellness was hired to coordinate services across the district, which includes providing more training and support to our outreach consultants who work directly with students and families. This year, we had made strides in providing and implementing SEL curriculum for all schools. Priority 7 focuses on a broad course of study. MJUSD uses our college and career indicator to evaluate this measure. We believe access is available to all students. However, our unduplicated students are not necessarily enrolled in our most rigorous courses, in particular our English learners. To address this, MJUSD created a department that will fully focus on college and career readiness. I'm available to answer any of your questions you might have.
Thank you, Amy. Are there any questions for Amy?
Yeah, Amy, I have 2 questions. Both of them are more out of curiosity. In the other document, the self-assessment document, I'm curious to know why history and social science is at a beginning development assessment on this academic standard.
Usually that has to do with the fact that this assessment tool was given to all of our sites, K-12, and usually at the elementary levels, more time is usually spent on English, language arts, and math. And so in terms of PD, the ELA teachers tend not to, or the elementary teachers tend not to see a lot of PD on science and social studies.
Oh, okay.
But they all have the most current adopted curriculum.
Okay. And then on the page 7 of the LCFF Priority 6, there was a note about the California Healthy Kids Survey.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, how well aligned was the internal measures against the California Healthy Kids surveys?
Not as aligned as you would hope. The California Healthy Kids Survey asks more detailed questions than we asked. They were more, they look a little bit deeper at how kids feel supported, how safe they feel, do they have a caring adult, questions like that, where the senior survey was things like, where are you going to college? How well were you supported through your high schools? Did you know about college and career? Do you have access to college classes? So they were very different measures.
Okay, so I can't use the internal survey to judge students' self-report of how safe they felt.
Other than that one question that was on the senior survey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just that one, which is why I added the teacher survey we did around social emotional learning, where the teachers said that the students needed to be able to self-regulate more, and have some social skills. And then also I added the parent voice to that as well, to kind of see, because parents talk to kids, to kind of see what their thoughts and feelings were in terms of the school climate.
Okay, got it.
Are there any other questions for Amy? Well, it looks like we're making progress.
Yeah, we are.
And I mean, sometimes it doesn't seem like it's fast enough, but it certainly looks like we're making progress.
We are.
We really appreciate everything you do.
Thank you.
Next, we have 1810, present the local performance indicators for self-reflection that support Marysville Charter Academy for the Arts, measuring and reporting progress within the priority area for the 22-23 school year.
Good evening again.
Yeah.
I have the entire document in the board packet. This video is going to give you some highlights from that packet, if you would.
Thank you.
This presentation will highlight areas from the local performance indicators self-reflection for the Marysville Charter Academy for the Arts. The self-reflection document requires MCAA to speak to local control funding formula, or LCFF priorities, in the following areas. LCFF Priority 1 includes teacher assignments, instructional materials, safe, clean, and functional facilities. LCFF Priority 2, which refers to standards-based teaching and learning. LCFF Priority 3 asks for a reflection on the relationship between our school and families. Two other areas we are briefly required to speak to are Priority 6, which is school climate, and Priority 7, which asks us to have a broad course of study. In our responses to Priority 1, we indicated 3 of our teachers were misassigned due to a pre-intern status, and we had no vacant teaching positions. All students have access to instructional materials, and that our facilities are safe, clean, and functional. LCFF Priority 2 is rated on a 5-point scale, with 1 being the lowest and 5 being the highest rating, at full implementation and sustainability. The first prompt asks us about the progress in providing professional learning for teaching to the adopted academic standards and curriculum. We rated the following subjects at full implementation, or a 4. Next Generation Science Standards and History Social Science. We rated the following at 5, or full implementation and sustainability: English Language Arts, English Language Development, and Mathematics. The next prompt asks us to rate ourselves in the progress in providing adopted academic standards and framework-aligned curriculum in all classrooms. We rated all core content areas at 5. Next, we are asked to rate the implementation of policies and programs to support staff in identifying areas where they can improve instruction. With our collaboration and professional learning community model, we rated all core content areas at 5, full implementation and sustainability. Our next prompt refers to non-core subjects and their progress in implementing academic standards adopted by the State Board for all students. Out of 3, we rated Career and Technical Education. We have begun to expand and realign our pathways in order to provide an opportunity for a greater number of students to complete CTE pathways, but this is a process and will take a couple of years as courses change and more staff obtain CTE credentials. Rated at 4 is Health Education, Physical Education, and World Languages. Being a school for the arts, we rated Visual and Performing Arts out of 5. Our last prompt in Priority 2 asks us to reflect on our success at engaging in the following activities with teachers and school administrators. Rated at 4, full implementation, is identifying the professional learning needs of groups of teachers or staff as a whole. Identifying the professional learning needs of individual teachers. Providing support for teachers on the standards they have not yet mastered. In LCFF Priority 3, the relationship between school and home, we rated the following as a 4. Progress in supporting staff to learn about each family's strengths, cultures, languages, and goals for their children. Rated at 5 is the progress in developing the capacity of staff to build trusting relationships with families. The school's progress in creating welcoming environments for all families in the community, and supporting systems and tools for two-way communication between families and educators. Also in Priority 3, we rated our ability for building partnerships for student outcomes. Some of our strengths in this area are providing resources for learning at home. Our outreach consultants support our learners by assisting with teachers and parent relationships. This service allows for MCAA to support families to advocate for their student improving the capacity of school to partner with families, meeting with families to monitor academic progress to improve student outcomes. For areas of growth, we identified the practice of utilizing parent-guardian feedback to evaluate family engagement, decision-making, and ensuring we are hearing from all families when asking for input. And finally, some notable strengths from Priority 6 and 7 include Healthy Kids survey data indicating 80% of students feel safe or very safe at school. 90% of students feel connected to an adult on campus. And our course offerings indicate that MCAA has a broad course of study. The entire Local Performance Indicator self-reflection document and all LCAP-related materials are available on our website, charter.mjusd.com.
Very nice. The only question I have for you, Mr. Lohman, is those teacher misassignments. How did that happen?
The charter requirements changing to being fully credentialed teachers, which I personally support. It's a great thing. The misassignments were, one of them was a contracted teacher, so they weren't required to have a credential. So we switched that over. One was a missing physical education credential in the dance program, and the other was a music teacher. All of those issues I have mitigated, and we will be 100% compliant starting in the fall.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Lohman? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
A nice report. Now we're at 19.1, approve the tentative agreement between MJUSD and MUTA for the 2021-2022 school year. Simon.
Thank you. Have me for the next 10 items, so thanks for hanging in there with me. This is a tentative agreement regarding contractual language that was not finalized at the end of last school year. We have a tentative agreement on articles related to such things as evaluation, updating those procedures, professional development, adding professional development for teachers, as well as class size adjustments for some of our special education, other classes as well. I want to thank MUTA for their collaboration in settling 21-22 so that we, as you can see, we've moved on to 22-23.
Are there any questions for Dr. Simon? If not, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Frank Crawford. Is there a second? Second by Allison Hasty. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0. Now we're at 19.2, approve the tentative agreement between MJUSD and MUTA for the 2022-2023 school year. Dr. Simon.
Yes, thank you. This agreement is for current school year, primarily related to salary and benefits for MUTA for our teachers group. It includes ongoing and off-schedule increases to the existing salary schedule, as well as an increase to the benefit cap, which hasn't happened in quite a number of years, which will allow less out-of-pocket expenses for our teaching group of employees. We have included the agreement as well as the required AB 1200 cost analysis documents and the revised salary schedule. One thing we're really excited about MUTA in the district is being able to improve our compensation for our speech therapists, to recruit more of them and not have to contract out those services, as well as give our career technical education teachers at the secondary level a place to move on the salary schedule.
Are there any questions for Dr. Simon? If not, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Approved by Frank Crawford. Is there a second?
That's a side letter.
Second by Allison Hasty. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0. Now we're at 19.3, approve the tentative agreement between MJUSD and OE3 for the 2022-23 and associated salary schedule.
So again, this is a tentative agreement with the union that represents the majority of our classified staff members. It's a similar agreement with the same percentage related to ongoing and off-schedule salary increases, and the cost of a salary increase applied to the health benefit cap that's equivalent with MUTA and the other groups. This is our 2 of our 4 formerly represented unions.
Are there any questions for Dr. Simon? If not, do I hear a motion?
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Frank Crawford. Is there a second? Second by Doug Criddle. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0. Now we're at 19.4, the 2022-23 initial bargaining proposal for CSEA number 648 to MJUSD, public disclosure and action.
Yes, so this was an item that was left over from the last meeting due to a clerical error. It's our preschool teachers. We weren't able to have the board approve their proposal to the district. So we would like to bring this back and ask you for any public comment or related to the Sunshine proposal, and then ask the board to take action to approve what we'll negotiate with our preschool teachers.
So this is a public hearing. Are there any comments from the folks in the room concerning this bargaining proposal? Are there any questions from the board? Thank you. Now we're at 19.5.
We'll want to take action to approve that proposal if possible. We do a 2-in-1, so we ask for the public hearing, and then we ask for you to take action, the board to take action if they're so inclined to approve that Sunshine.
So now we vote on this contract. Are there any other questions for Dr. Simon? If not, do I hear a motion? Motion approved by Frank Crawford. Is there a second? Second by Dr. Yang. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0. Now we're at 19.5. Approved side letter agreement between MJUSD and OE3 job reclassifications. Dr. Simon.
Yes, thank you. This is for 3 positions for operating engineers. We've recommended to reclassify these positions, and OE3 has agreed due to the increasing amount of documentation, paperwork, and assessments that are involved with preschool children. So this would reclassify the range placements of administrative assistant, program secretary, as well as a child development specific health aide, and the associated cost is there for this reclassification.
Is that the total cost per year?
That's the annual cost, including statutory benefit costs, yes.
Are there any other questions for Dr. Simon? If not, do I hear a motion? Motion approved by Gary Criddle. Is there a second? Second by Dr. Yang. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0. Now we're at 19.6. Approval of job description and position for the Assistant Superintendent of Administrative Services. Dr. Simon.
So this would, a job description would replace the position of our Chief Technology Officer. So not an additional position, but it would replace the existing position. This position would oversee quite a bit of the district operations, including technology, network, cybersecurity, student attendance, welfare discipline, as well as enrollment and boundaries. So we're asking that the board consider and approve this job description for that position.
Are there any questions for Dr. Simon? I guess the question I have for Brian is that have you felt that additional workload?
Have I felt it?
Yes.
I have felt very excited about it, if I may say that. I'm really enjoying, especially the discipline and the attendance side, and really getting into that. It's been very exciting, and I've very much enjoyed it. So, yeah.
Are there any questions for the board?
You're pretty excited, right? Just teasing. Motion to approve, sir.
Okay. We have a motion to approve from Frank Crawford. Is there a second? Second by Gary Criddle. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0. Congratulations. We're at 19.7. Approve the employment contract Assistant Superintendent of Administrative Services.
So thank you. Now that you've approved the job description for this position, we're asking you review and approve the contract for Mr. Brian Williams, who's currently the Chief Technology Officer, to transition into this position. This contract is consistent and aligns with other cabinet contracts, and the term and the compensation is the same to other cabinet level contracts for our other assistant superintendents.
Are there any questions for Dr. Simon?
Gabe, I just want to make sure I understand the math correctly on this one and versus 19.6. So there's a dollar amount difference of 5126 on 19.7. Is my understanding correctly? Because so the approval of the contract, this increase is different than the 19.6 position. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the job description compared basically the difference between what the difference, the reason for that difference is that the contract compares the difference between the existing Chief Technology Officer and the new contract, proposed contract for that position.
Got it. So 19.7, that budget amount is the effectively what normal people would say, the reapproval of the CTO, and then the difference in 19.6 is the change from CTO to Assistant Superintendent Administrative Service.
Correct, and that's including statutory costs, of difference there.
Okay, I just want to understand. So it's the sum of those two numbers is the total compensation for the change.
No, so the difference in the item in 19.7 is the difference between the CTO's current compensation and the contractual the increase related to the contract for the Assistant Superintendent of Business Services, or Admin Services, sorry.
Okay. So what's the difference in 19.6 then?
Yeah, due to the salary schedule and the overall increase for the 19.6 item, it's slightly higher. It's a comparative for the overall increase in compensation for the position. Yeah, apparently I should just put the item in for 19.7. The true cost of that is $51.26. I shouldn't have included the 19.6 because that doesn't tie to a person. If that makes any sense.
Because it was confusing for me on having the two different numbers and then, okay. That explains.
I understand why it was confusing and I apologize for the confusion.
Okay.
Are there any other questions for Dr. Simon? If not, do I hear a motion? Motion approved by Allison Hasty. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Steeman. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0. Now we're at 19.8, Cabinet one-time off-schedule compensation. Associated 3% off-schedule performance bonus as noted in board-approved contracts for the 2022-2023 school year. Dr. Simon.
Yes, thank you. So Cabinet, as a reminder, are all of the assistant superintendents, currently the Chief Technology Officer as well as the superintendent. You've already approved the Cabinet contracts that already include this discretionary 1 to 4% off-schedule one-time annual performance bonus based off a report of the superintendent and satisfactory evaluations. For all cabinet members, the recommendation is for a 3% off-schedule increase. That amount there includes the statutory costs, the total cost for that one-time bonus for all cabinet members added together.
Are there any questions for Dr. Simon? Not, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Approved by Frank Crawford. Is there a second? Second by Allison Hasty. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0. Now we're at 19.9. Approve the contract extension of Assistant Superintendent of Business Services through 2024-2025 school year. Dr. Simon.
Yes, thank you. So this would align the contract duration for all the assistant superintendents because Mr. Trujillo and myself came on after Ms. Pasalia, slightly after those changes. All of our contracts would have the same extension and end date. It would align with the other cabinet members.
Are there any questions for Dr. Simon? If not, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Frank Crawford. Is there a second? Second, Mr. Steeman. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0. Now we're at 19.10. Approve the side letter agreement between MJUSD and OE3 Senior System Analysis and associated job description.
Yes, this would impact two of our existing OE3 members. The request for classification came due to the complexity of the systems in the technology department and the continuing moving target of having to make lots of changes in the network to support cybersecurity, as well as the development and testing of different systems in the district to keep everybody safe online, including the students and the adults. The total cost there includes statutory costs. That's the annual cost for that reclassification of those two employees.
Are there any questions for Dr. Simon or Brian Williams?
Well needed, I would say that, Brian?
Say well-deserved, and it comes from, if you remember, I did a salary analysis when we came with the security, network security, information security position. This aligns to that same, just to get our people to where they're competitive with others around us, doing the same kind of work.
They've become increasingly very important in the working
Absolutely.
society. I'm finding that. The job, and we got to keep in line with that. I understand that fully, finally.
Are there any other questions from the board? If not, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Frank Crawford. Is there a second? Second by Doug Criddle. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0. Now we're at 20, new business for business services. Public hearing for the 2023-24 proposed adopted budget. Jennifer?
Hi, thank you. This is a public hearing. We saw the presentation at the last board meeting, and so it's required by law to hold a public hearing and hear any public comments before we ask for approval to adopt.
Are there any questions for Jennifer? Do we vote on this?
The next item you will.
Just information.
Yeah. It's just a public hearing for
Just
this
a hearing.
one.
That's what I thought it was.
Open and
but
close, yeah.
So I need a motion to close the public hearing. Sorry?
So moved.
So moved. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Public hearing is closed. Now we have 20.2, approve and adopt the 2022-23 proposed budget. Jennifer.
Thank you. So now I seek your approval to adopt the 23-24 budget, proposed budget as presented at the last board meeting. Thank you.
Are there any questions for Jennifer? If not, do I hear a motion?
I'm proud to make a motion to approve. Good job.
Frank Crawford has made a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Allison Hasty. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0. Now we have 20.3, approve the resolution 2022-23/37 MJUSD Education Protection Account.
Thank you. So this is for MJUSD, the district, and then the next item will be for MCAA. This is part of the LCFF funding formula. It's the Education Protection Account. It was passed, it's also known as Proposition 30, and this is the sales tax that was increased for our top tax providers, 1%ers, and it has to only be used for teachers' salaries and benefits, and so we're asking that you approve this resolution that is how we are spending those dollars, and you can see the breakdown in the agenda item.
Are there any questions for Jennifer?
I'm lost.
Okay.
1% of
So this was an increase to our sales tax, the California state
Oh,
sales
the
tax.
state. I'm sorry.
I don't think I said that.
In the
so.
city. I mean,
Yeah, no.
Wait, you're not going to slide that one by. I'm sorry, Jennifer.
It's okay.
It's late. You said sales tax. That's something in the back of my old head that rings a bell. Excuse me, Mr. President.
Are there any other questions for Jennifer? If not, do I hear a motion?
Motion approved.
Approved by Frank Crawford. Is there a second? Second by Allison Hasty. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0. Now we have the 20.4, approve the resolution 2223/38 MCAA Education Protection Account. Jennifer.
This is the same information. Marysville Charter Academy of the Arts has their own local control funding formula, and so therefore they have their own allocation of the education protection account. And so I'm asking that you approve this resolution that we are spending the money towards our teacher salaries and benefits.
Are there any questions for Jennifer? If not, do I hear a motion? Motion approved by Allison Hasty. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Frank Crawford. That's a reverse. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
I didn't vote no. I could do that and really throw you
No,
off.
you won't.
It'd go crazy. Yes, I'm sorry. It's late.
Motion carries 7-0. Now we're at public comments. We have one public comment. Gerald, I can't read your last name. Please come up. Myers. I'm sorry, Mr. Myers. I got it wrong last time, too.
Good evening. My name is Gerard Myers. I met with you folks about 2 weeks ago. And I'm here to follow up with what the board has decided about moving forward with the special needs program being taken over by Marysville Joint. And also the couple of board members and Dr. Azrani about getting a committee together for parent participation and moving forward with this. So I haven't heard from anybody over the last 2 weeks, and I wanted to know what your intentions were moving forward and where we plan on going from here.
Thank you. You'll be hearing from us, I'm thinking, by the end of this week, because our Director of Special Education had a situation, so she was out a little bit. So right now, the tentative date for the committee meeting is in July, and you are on top of the list. So we'll make sure you get an invite.
Okay, thank you.
And you'll have to commit to quite a few meetings, because there'll be quite a few meetings moving forward.
Yeah. So what is the board's general intention about dealing with this? Is this something that's going to be stretched out till the November deadline, or is this something you intend on dealing with sooner?
Jared, I think that it all depends upon the data that we're able to review together and be inclusive about that. So that's a good question. I don't have an answer for that. I want to see the data. Yeah.
Okay, very good. I appreciate your response, and I will look forward to hearing from you guys.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
Pick your time to attend the Marysville Peach Festival. It's happening Friday, July 14th and Saturday, July 15th in downtown Marysville. You'll find your old favorites like Sidaro's Cobbler and Pies, peaches and cream, fresh peaches locally grown, and other fruit to take home and eat. Fun for kids and big kids. A City of Marysville event kept moving by Recology, Waste Zero, and by Yuba County. Say yes to Yuba. The 23rd Marysville Peach Festival, happening Friday, July 14th and Saturday, July 15th in downtown Marysville, a City of Marysville event.